So when I snap other things on, it has to complement what I'm doing. And I have to visually think about it as if a visitor lands over here and gets this thing over here, that I can see a path for them finding their way to these other things. Like, I feel like it's like a roller coaster between all my sites. And because even the lead magnet, when they sign up for that, the content is going to be contextual to that initial the topic of that lead magnet, which is outsourcing. Outsourcing fit is the name of it, but it's all really about building partnerships, strategic partnerships and relationships and stuff. So I'm going to go through that. That's what's going to be a big focus. But within it, I'm talking about my agency. I'll eventually talk about my plugins. So I see a path. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable From the Trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello, this is Matt Levenhagen from The Builders, another The Builders podcast episode. It's a solo one today because I had audio issues with my last guests. Two guests, actually, which makes it kind of worse. But to tell you what happened, so 2 episodes ago, I had this gentleman on. He's actually a podcast booking agent. Awesome. And so he was on the show, and I remember right before we recorded, he said something to the effect, "Matt, you're kind of quiet." Now, at the time when he said that, I was looking away from the mic, and I thought, well, I'll project. Maybe I'm mumbling, I might be, mumbling. It happens. I think I even joked that my wife sometimes tells me that I mumble, especially when I'm tired. But, so we went on, and we did the whole show, and then I did another show after that, not thinking, because I've been doing just fine. Everything's been fine. I got my new computer, a month ago already. Everything's been working great as far as I was concerned. And I even did a solo episode, I think the last episode that we released was solo, maybe. But everything was fine. Everything was working out good. And then I sat down to record this weekend, or not to record, to edit, and I was cutting out. Now, I've heard this before. I've had this audio problem in the past. And I'm like, why am I having it now? And so I went through the whole troubleshooting. Now, one of the things with doing podcasts and with any kind of video, if you're out there doing video, you're doing, you're going to have to deal with audio. And even if you got a beautiful blue mic like this, Blue Yeti X or whatever it is, and even if you got, good software, good computer, I have a brand new computer, things can still happen. Same with the webcam. Things can still happen. And I remember there was a time frame, I was probably between 30 and 80 episodes. I was constantly having problems, and it was a whole thing with my webcam and audio. And I still get a little PTSD from those days. Anything that happens, I freak out a little. But this time, I just couldn't figure it out. So I'm looking at I'm testing, I'm trying. I have some software I use for my audio, and I'm trying all these things. And I'm talking down, and seeing, was it just my angle? Well, it turns out to cut to the chase here, it was my blue mic. And somehow there is, I don't know if you know what gain is, but somehow the gain, the knob on the Blue Yeti here got completely turned down. It was still on a little bit, but so if I would talk right next to the mic, it was fine. But if any time I would go away, it would start cutting out. And so I'm doing my editing, and I would, the guest was doing fine. It was pretty normal. But then I would come in and some of the words you couldn't even hear me saying. And so I was trying to do some really creative editing and cutting and doing different things. And then I just gave up. This isn't going to work. Even though I don't know, I guess I don't see myself as a professional podcaster. Matt, you've been podcast. This is like 179. I guess I'm professional, right? I'm probably professional. I don't have a crew though. I don't have like an audio crew or anything like that. This is just still a solo show. But I still care. I still care that the actual presentation is like you can hear everything. I tune the audio so it's clear, and even if there's background noise, I try cleaning that up. And I got my tools. I use Camtasia for my editing, and it works great. But sometimes you run into something like this. Now, in the 179 episodes, I've only once or twice had to ask a guest to re-record, and it's been a while. I've been doing this for 3.5 years. I don't remember exactly why, but I do know, I think even Lorraine, who's like, she herself has done like 900 podcast episodes. She has her own as a host. I think we had to do one over, which is always interesting. I know at least a couple times I did. And which is always interesting because especially if you have a set like topic that you're going to talk on, you just talked on the topic. And so now I gotta, do I act surprised again? To a degree, you bring things up again, but usually it's because it's not scripted, it's going to be completely different, and it's probably going to go in a completely different direction from the last time. So, or maybe you were informed by something and you could even have a better show. But anyway, so that's where we're at. So I apologize. And the only thing that would even be a problem here is that we do a little teaser on Fridays, like who's going to be the next person. And I typically do my editing the weekend of. So even if I get like 10, 20, 30 episodes ahead, not that long. I think the longest I ever went ahead, 412, probably 12 I've had banked. And I just got too far ahead, and I didn't like that. So I don't try to get that far ahead. But even then it was like, even having them all recorded, I would still do the editing of the one that's coming up Monday on the weekend. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about that. It's not procrastinating. It's just my process. It's not procrastinating. So I don't know. What are we going to talk about? So one of the things you're going to notice is, well, I don't know if you're going to notice. I mean, it's a nice shirt. If you're on video, I got a hat on. It's because I decided to just do this off the cuff. I haven't done one off the cuff for a while. In other words, just on the fly, have no idea what I'm going to talk about. But you will know, because very likely after I record this, I will have figured out a topic, and there will be a title and a description. And if you're on social media, we'll tease it and what it is. So listening to this right now, you know more than I do. Maybe probably everybody knows more than Matt does. But anyway, what are we going to talk about? So I'm going to just dive into some things that I'm working on. That's the easiest thing. See, I literally don't even have bullets. I have nothing. I just hit record. And one of the easiest things that I can do is just talk from what I'm doing. I could talk about what I'm doing this weekend. I had a nice weekend. I got a new Subaru Outback. I'm an Outback guy. Don't ask me why. Maybe some of you have Outbacks. I don't know. I had this dream all of my life to have a Subaru Outback. I always loved their commercials. I mean, I'm talking decades ago. I'm like, I'd love to have an Outback someday. And this is actually my third Outback, but so I got a brand new Outback this weekend, which is fun. And got some work done around the house. I got kind of a fixer-upper house. It's just, I had a remodeling and painting repair background, and I like to punish myself that way by having a house that I can work on and fix. Today I was fixing the fences. I dug a hole and put a post in that hole, and then mixed up some concrete, put that in there. And it's actually my fence. I built my fence like 20 years ago. I built it. Yep. That's me. I can build fences. But it was just leaning a little bit, over time. Even though it was a cedar fence, it still rotted a little bit in some places. So I had to repair it. So I'm doing that in a few places. That's what I'm doing in real life. I went to Home Depot once today. Just having a normal kind of life over here. Nothing too special, but just a normal life. We're just doing our thing. But that's what I'm doing in real life. What am I doing? What am I working on right now in my business? Let's talk about that. Actually, one of the interesting things we've been doing, we have plugins, unifiedplugins.com, unifiedplugins.com. That's my jingle. I just made up on the fly. So we have 4 plugins, Unified Access, Unified Toolkit, Unified Pop-ups, Unified Blocks. And so we have these. We've been developing them for a while. I've had products in the past. I've pretty much always had products before I had this agency, or ran products, built products. And so it's kind of in my blood. It's kind of a thing. But it's not anything that I've really put the marketing effort towards and the sales effort. So they kind of flounder. My agency is what makes all the money. But in our downtime, we work on these plugins because someday I do hope to actually sell some. We sell some. But a few here and there. But we use them ourselves as well. So we're using them on like our client sites and our own sites. I have a plugin called Unified Toolkit. It's my favorite one of the bunch because it's designed to be like a starter kit for a website. So how you sit down and you build a website. Now, if you're a business and you don't do websites for a living, you might only do that once. But some of you might not. You might have clients that need websites or whatever. So, but in this case, it's the beautiful thing about having your own web development team is you can just build whatever you want. You can innovate, or you can say that would be nice to have. I'll give you a couple of examples. So Unified Toolkit. So I had one of the first features that I had built. I think it might have been the first one. So we use hosting called Nexus. It's actually Liquid Web. They're actually merging. Actually, Liquid Web. They're merging together because they're both awesome. So if you ever ask me who I recommend for a web host, that's it, Liquid Web. But one of the things that they do with their admin area, or the WordPress admin area, what would show up, I didn't know how or where they were doing it. Besides, I knew there was a function somewhere. But what shows up is just a little tag in the upper right. Like if you know WordPress, there's a bar at the top. It's an admin bar when you're logged in. In the upper right, there's your little profile picture and a drop down and stuff, and that thing. And then there's all kinds of other things up there, depending on what you have installed. There might be a cache drop down and a performance or other things, right? Or that's where you can make new posts from there or whatever. But there was this tag on the right side of this admin bar, and in that upper right side, it would say production or staging. And I thought that was pretty slick, because here's the thing. When you're working on websites, sometimes you don't know if see, the whole idea. So a staging site is basically a clone of your production site. And that's where you do all your testing. And especially if you're doing maintenance, especially if it's a website that makes money, you don't want to just do everything on production and break it, right? You don't want to be down for any reason, or maybe you're working on features. So you're over there on the staging site, but sometimes you don't know, like, yeah, you could look up at the URL and maybe figure it out. But sometimes it's really nice to just see, oh, it's a staging site, or, oh, you're on production. So a simple little feature. And that was the first one we built for Unified Toolkit. The other thing was I ran into, I actually run sites that get rid of the admin menu. Now there's got to be programming in the actual theme itself for that to happen. But it's really kind of hard to manage a site when there's no admin menu on the front end. Because typically speaking, when you're on the front end, right, on WordPress, and you're on a post or a page, and you want to edit that post or page, you can go up to the admin menu and there's an edit page button. But when you hide the admin menu, and people hide it for different reasons, a lot of times they just want to see the site as it is to the visitors. Maybe there's other reasons, but it's kind of hard. Now what you have to do is you literally have to look at the source code or your dev tools to see what ID that page is, and then go into the admin or the name of the post. Maybe you'll figure it out. You can do a search in the admin and find it. You've got all these steps. Or, 1 second. Okay, I'm back. That was my wife. See, it's actually a Sunday evening and things are happening. And I actually have to make supper pretty soon. I'm grilling some steaks and shrimp. And then we're going to have potatoes. Anyway, so back to my story. So this situation with the admin menu is that it drove me nuts, because every time, like if I have to do any editing, like I said. And so I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if I could install a plugin and I could have just a minimalist admin bar? So instead of having the full black admin bar at the top, you would have, I would just create some buttons at the bottom, right? And then I could right align them and left align them and center them, make them whatever color I want. We made that feature. Those are some of the first features of my favorite ones. Those are kind of like admin, kind of quality of life things, but we expanded on that. We did a bunch more, and I'm not here to talk about everything in my plugins and stuff like that. It's just that I think is a cool thing. I think we can learn from that, right? If you have ideas for plugins or services and anything, sometimes you can come up with ideas from your own experiences. Now, of course, we talk about this all the time on this podcast. We want to learn from other people's problems. That's how we decide, qualify an idea, verify an idea that it's going to be good, is by looking, somebody's got this problem, and lots of people have this problem, and we can solve that. But sometimes you say, well, I have this problem and somebody out there must have it, but I'll build it for myself anyway. And that's kind of how I went into plugins. I didn't have, my whole thought process was like, if nobody else uses them, we'll use them on our client sites. And the same with, I actually have a free theme. I don't give it away now. I'm going to, I think, but we have like a boilerplate, full site editing block theme that we use for our client sites, to build our client sites. And I built that. I was going to, I kind of built it, and we did kind of update it in a way where we could give it away. But I'm like, even if nobody ever takes, downloads that publicly, we're using it for our own sites. So kind of building our own toolkit beyond the Unified Toolkit plugin, our own framework to build sites. So that was kind of my mindset. But yeah, I would like to sell more someday. So that takes me to what I'm doing now is, so one of the things that I'm doing broadly is I'm doing more content. I already do content. I do the podcast, and I've been blogging on mattlevenhagen.com for a while about teams. I got a new lead magnet there. I'm going to continue to do that. I got creating follow-ups and stuff with that, and then continue to do blog there. But now I'm rotating because I wanted to create more content for, I don't have to worry about it for the builders.fm, obviously, but for Unified Web Design, my agency site, I wanted to create a blog, and for Unified Plugins, I want to create a blog about plugins and Unified Web Design, obviously about our services or the things we do. And so I'm rotating. So each week, so my goal is, and I've been doing this for a number of rotations, although I took a little bit of a pause to create that lead magnet for a few weeks, for like a month. But what I do is I post on mattlevenhagen.com. I post about teams. It'll be about teams or processes or outsourcing, something along those lines. And then I post on Unified Web Design about, the things we do around our messaging and what we do and the services we provide. So I'm building that out. And then I post Unified Plugins. I posted the third one this weekend. So we're only 3 in. But that's obviously going to be about plugins and building websites with WordPress. So I'm doing this rotation like once a week. I create a piece for that one, and then the next week this one, and next week this one. So every 3 weeks I'm doing a rotation. So that is one thing I'm doing. And for me, that works really well. I need to be a creature of habit. I need to I need to put things in a framework, into like a cadence of some sort. So that's the only way I can really think about it. And so I got that set. And besides building more features, we keep adding more features. We're working on more features now for these plugins. And we have more plugin ideas, but I'm trying to just focus on the ones we have for now, because Matt's full of ideas. I want to do this affiliate program. So we technically have an affiliate program. If you actually bought one of my plugins and you install it, each plugin has its own little menu, and there's an affiliation menu. And if you go there, and you would see, oh, I can make 50% commission if I sell this plugin for Matt for Unified. So you can do it now. But what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to be creating a bundle, first of all, to sell. Right now, each plugin is sold individually. I'm going to create a bundle, and that'll be an option on a website. But also, I'm creating an affiliate page. And I've kind of figured out how to do this just recently. This weekend, I've kind of landed on it. But I had one of my developers create an affiliate page, a really nice affiliate page that'll outline what the affiliate program is all about and what you can do with it. And maybe we'll have a few tips on there. I don't know. And a way to sign up. So I can start promoting that, because I really, even though things have changed a lot over the last, this is five and a half years with this agency, and I've always wanted to do products on the side. And in fact, I'll give you a little history. When I first started my agency, I came from a company called Rapid Crush. We had built a marketplace called Hexeter. It was a WordPress marketplace that sold themes, WordPress themes, that I built the first like 9 or 10, and then I built a team to build the rest. We had like 100 by the time I left. So, but I acquired that afterwards. But then so much changed with WordPress, and we had built our framework and the way we had built those didn't really work well. So I actually eventually closed the doors on that, but I still wanted to do products because I'm a products guy at the end of the day. And I wanted to build products, build a list, do all that good stuff. But I kind of floundered for a while because I had this big idea for Unified Toolkit was actually supposed to be something different. I won't get into all the details around that, but it was supposed to be this bigger thing. Like it was not just WordPress plugins and stuff. There was going to be training and other kinds of assets and stuff and to build websites. But what happens is you get busy with the core of your business. And I like that as well. I want to build my agency. So I spent a lot of time starting in a direction and then getting sucked into growing my agency. But in the last year, I would say we really, we had like an email capture plugin, but I got rid of that one. But we've finally settled, though. I think Matt's settled finally on these 4 plugins, more plugin ideas if we have time, as we have time. And we're there. We got unified plugins, and it bakes in well with a big part of that too, is it has to complement my brand. If you actually look at the content at mattlevenhagen.com, it ties into our messaging with Unified Web Design, and Unified Plugins ties into what we do at Unified Web Design. 95% of what we do is WordPress. We do other things, Shopify and stuff like that, but most of what we do is WordPress. So that makes sense, right? So when I'm building these other things, I only have 4 other things. The podcast is one of them. That's the 4th website. It has to make sense. So when I snap other things on, it has to complement what I'm doing. And I have to visually think about it as if a visitor lands over here and gets this thing over here, that I can see a path for them finding their way to these other things. Like I feel like it's like a roller coaster between all my sites. And because even the lead magnet, when they sign up for that, the content is going to be contextual to that initial the topic of that lead magnet, which is outsourcing. Outsourcing fit is the name of it, but it's all really about building partnerships, strategic partnerships and relationships and stuff. So I'm going to go through that. That's what's going to be a big focus, but within it, I'm talking about my agency. I'll eventually talk about my plugins. So I see a path, even if it's just a few of those folks finding their way to my other stuff, And it's the same way with the unified plugins. If somebody buys my unified plugins, they're probably going to learn about unified web design. Unified web design, they're probably going to find out about unified plugins. It all feeds in together. And the podcast, who's my sponsor? Unified web design. And what am I talking about right now? I was actually talking to a friend who's going to be starting his own podcast. And we were talking about that, monetizing podcasts and how others monetize. It's not just about, buying, having ads in the middle of a podcast to promote something. Some of us just promote our own stuff. But for me, it's organic, right? I don't know if organic's the word. It's just a natural, authentic way of presenting, introducing my products and services to you without you even really always knowing it. I blend it into my conversations. I wouldn't call them ads so much, but it's part of my story. I share my story, and I hope that within that story, you discover who Matt is in Matt's world and unified web design world and my team's world, all of that. So that's Matt's idea. So that's, that's kind of what I've been up to, for unified plugins. I said, I did a whole podcast on the lead magnet. So you probably know about that already if you were listening to this. But the other thing I'm doing is unified plugins. It seems like a lot. that same friend I was just talking about, he's semi-retired, and he's starting a podcast, and he's kind of he didn't know about unified plugins. I had mentioned it in our conversations, and then I showed him what we were doing, and he's like, I've inspired him to do more. He's, I love the fact that I can inspire others. I feel like I do a lot, and by brute force, hopefully I will eventually be a massive, massive success someday. Now I'm just a pretty good success. I mean, massive, whatever that means. But other than that, yeah. So you can see what I'm thinking. Like the content thing is really, really important. And that ties obviously into all the social media. We post every day. We've been doing that for 3.5 years. Post every single day on social media and our different platforms. And we're, doing the podcast for just as long. We're doing all those things. We're still, but the core of our business, even though we're doing all these satellite things, the core of our business is unified web design. And, that's most of our income, most of our revenue. And many things are happening there as well. We have in just with like any business, any agency, sometimes bad things happen. Like we just lost actually had a contract with somebody for like 3 years. It wasn't a gigantic contract, but it was, it's sad to see that because you built that relationship and they're not doing so well. So, I totally understood that situation. And they said, well, wasn't you guys, we love you guys, but that's what you want to hear. That's kind of the crazy thing, you can sometimes get bad news, but then, if you're working with good people, they can still make you feel good about yourself. So, anyway, but then I'm working on another, we're kind of onboarding another agency, that has a lot of stuff. They're a larger agency, and, we're meeting with them, Tuesday. I'm meeting with somebody from there. We're going to start working on some of these tasks, this backlog of tasks they have and maintenance stuff. So there's always that stuff going on, and I'm always, I always tell my team, my marketing team, my marketing person, that helps me, distribute content and do a lot of the things we do on the marketing side, and, lets me bounce ideas off her once in a while. And she sets me straight. But what I tell her though, is like, we got this baseline of stuff and it works. That's why we keep doing it. And that's why we keep doing content. That's why we keep doing the podcast, is because these things we can map to a new relationship or on the scale that we need as an agency. Could we do more? Sure. But that's okay. Slow growth is okay. At least we're growing. But I'm looking at other things. I'm looking at lead systems. I'm actually maybe testing a lead system. Maybe I'll talk about that someday. That's always been something I've tried numerous times over the last 3.5 years, probably, when I really started doing marketing 3.5 years ago. I've tried a few times to do like outreach and stuff, even email outreach, and with kind of not so good results. We got some business from that, but not what the time put in, not worth the time put in. We never really found our way, or the same thing would happen like it does with the plugins. We would be sucked into a different direction for a while. But I'm looking at doing that again. I got there's websites out there that have like databases you can crawl and filter through and try to find your perfect match and sell to those people. So we're gonna try that again. So I'm always trying to think of new things or new spins on things, or looking for new opportunities out there. But anyway, I'm gonna go because I need to make supper. I got to fire up the grill. We're having some, bone-in steaks, and throw those on the grill. And then What else are we having? What did I say? We're having that, and then we're going to have, we may not have broccoli tonight. We had broccoli last night. Well, we don't. We don't always have vegetables. We should. Potato for sure. And oh yeah, shrimp. Yeah. Cold shrimp. Like we just buy it, and then we peel them, dunk them. All right, I'm going to go now. Thanks for listening. Again, I apologize. You wouldn't know. You probably, you wouldn't know that this was supposed to be a guest podcast. Unless if I wanted to told you, it would just be another podcast. But hopefully I can get those folks back on now that I got my audio figured out. Have a good one. Take care. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you're interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.